Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Drinking Shed. I'm Darren.
And I'm Rob.
And we're back for another episode. You might notice you're seeing a little more of the shed. It's so close to summertime that we're able to open the doors and push back a little bit.
Yeah, we don't have to have the door shut. We can open it up. It's 85 degrees today.
Beautiful. Supposed to be near 90 by the weekend. Let's cap it right there and be done with it.
Yeah.
Stay there for a while, get the lakes warm, get on a boat.
The lake is full, too.
Yes, it is.
It's full.
So what are we going to talk about this evening? Well, we've actually been getting some requests from just friends of ours as we're pushing this out there across YouTube and Instagram to say, wow, that barrel aging stuff looks pretty cool. How do you do that? And
And we tell them, of course, it's top secret.
Top
we can't
secret.
tell them.
I'd have to kill them if I did. So I try to tell people, it's much easier and much harder than you think. It's much easier in the sense of the way we do it. It's not that hard, right? But it's much harder in the sense of
there's not instant gratification.
Right. And we're not some guy at a distillery who's pouring whiskey in there, aging it out with his special blends and doing all that kind of stuff. We're not doing something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I said. It's much harder and it's much easier than it looks. What we do is not all that difficult, but it's fun.
Yeah, totally fun.
So we have actually 3 representations here of barrels.
We've used all 3 of them.
We've used all 3 of them.
Different reasons.
This one has a beautiful story to it. I was actually in Las Vegas and I was sitting at the bar and I noticed they had these barrels there and I'm like, hey, what do you have in the barrels? And the guy told me all the things he had and they had barrel aged, I don't remember if they were old fashions or Manhattans now. Yeah. And I said, wow, that's great. And he says, hey, for an extra $30 you can buy the barrel and we'll fill it up. So I'm walking around Vegas like this.
The picture was so great.
And every time I wanted to drink, I just sat it down and got my glass. Like, man, this is heaven.
It was heaven, yeah.
People were staring at me kind of oddly, but anyway.
So cool.
So we have a 1 liter.
Yeah.
And then we have your big 3 liter.
Yeah. Yep. That's not quite our biggest. We have a 20 liter as well, but this is the big boys over there. But the 3 liter we've used many, many times. So it's done. Its life cycle is done. So it can't give anymore on the wood. So it kind of sits out for display.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This was your first one?
Yep.
Yeah, from the illegal mezcal.
Illegal mezcal and it came as a kit. The illegal used to do a kit where you would get 3 bottles of unaged mezcal and a barrel to age it in, and then they gave you instructions on how to do it and all that. That was a few years back. So
that's pretty cool. We have bugs floating around here, by the way.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah. So the one we're going to start with and really show you guys is this one, right? So this is just a standard 2 liter barrel. I actually bought this online. It came just like this, a little cleaner.
Size-wise, though, you got 3.
Size-wise.
You got 2.
You got a 1.
Yeah,
right?
So there's your size difference. So it all depends on what you want to do with it, right?
Right. And in all honesty,
how long you want to wait.
Yeah, in all honesty, these things are awesome because you can do a whole bunch of them and try a bunch of different things, and when you get perfected, you can move into something like this.
I agree with that, yeah.
So what comes in a kit? Generally this. You get your bung, and then of course you have your spigot, right? Comes like this. Nice little stand. Ta-da, we're done. So anyway, what do you do? How do you do this? The first thing you do when you get this is you're actually gonna, put this in, and you're gonna fill it up with water. I filled it up with water. I washed it out once just to make sure if there was anything floating in there that I didn't want in there.
For sure.
And hot water. Mm-hmm. And then I filled it up again and I put it in a baking pan.
And let it leak.
Right? And I let it sit there for, I think it was about 2 days.
Yeah.
And I was always wiping it off to make sure I could see where it was leaking. And it swelled up enough to where I didn't have any more leaks. Yep. However, you could still have leaks.
Yep.
In which case you would use
wax.
Yeah,
they sell a barrel wax kit that you can buy, and that you can take that wax and put it around. Let's say one of the discs on the end, or some piece here is a little bit leaky. You can just use that almost like a toothpaste type of thing, and put it on top of the leak. Yep.
Right. So then, while this was going on, it was the water was in there. I started the second step, or we start the second step. This is the important one, right? Where we start just mixing cocktails by hand. And we're very clear on what we're doing. We're doing 2 ounces of this, a half ounce of this, 2 drops or 2 dashes of this. We're doing a little this, a little this, a little this. Yep. And we're writing them all down, and then we're saying, okay, which ones do we like? We always like the 7th one better than the first one, oddly enough, because by that point, hell, they all taste good. No, but seriously,
That's right.
You set them out there and you find out, what do I like?
Uh-huh.
And then you take those calculations, and now it's time to do math. right? Because everything you're going to do is you make let's say a Manhattan, 2 ounces of this, 1 ounce of this, a couple of dashes of this.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't buy bottles in ounces. So you take your 2,000 milliliters,
right?
and then you have to divide that into ounces. Then you take your bottles of 750s, 1.5s, 1,000s, whatever they are, 200s. You divide those into ounces, and you basically go through your math and you mix it up the way you want to do it.
And then taste it.
And then, yes, stir it up
make
nice.
sure it's the same as your small test batch.
Make sure it's the same.
Right.
One thing that I found when I do this is this thing tends to eat up the bitters a little bit, so I like to be, we're bitters heavy anyway, but I like to be a little heavier in the bitters because I think the barrel somehow mellows out the bitters a little more than I like, so I like to be a little bitters heavy.
And the bitters thing is really up to you.
Yes.
A lot of people don't put bitters in there.
Yes.
We just happen to put the bitters in with the cocktail because we want that time. We think
Yes.
that aging process helps everything
Boy.
meld together.
This is as big an argument as the vermouth in the refrigerator or not. Should you barrel age your bitters or not? Some people say you're ruining the whole thing. Other people are saying, how can you not do it? They sell barrel aged bitters. It doesn't hurt to be in there. It's the cocktail. Put them in there. That's how we do it. So then all you're going to do, right? Empty that water out. That's not too difficult. Pop in the top. You're going with a pour it in, right? So if you're doing 2 liters, I recommend you make 2 liters worth. The reason being is you're going to fill it and then you're going to plug it, right? You're going to let it sit. What we do is every week or so, we get a quarter turn. Mm-hmm. But before you do your quarter turn, you're going to pop it and you're going to check because you're going to start losing liquid, right? You're soaking in. A lot.
The first time you do one, you're going to lose a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
So the reason I say don't make extra is you can always make it up the way you like it and pour it in there. But quite frankly, when you check it, you should do a little taste and see if it changed at all and there's something you want to do to it. And you can go, holy cow, this thing is extraordinarily hot. Maybe I need a little extra vermouth. Or, oh man, all I can taste is vermouth. Maybe I need a little extra bourbon or rye or whiskey or whatever you're doing. Or man, I can't even taste any bitters at all. Maybe you need a little extra bitters. So I'm saying don't make up 2 1/4 liters knowing you're going to lose a quarter of it and then just keep pouring the same thing in there. Because you want to be able to play with it a little bit. How long to keep it in there?
Ask the instructor.
Yeah.
That's up to you. I mean, it can be a month, it can be 2 months, it can be 3 months. Just know that every successive time you go to do this, it's going to take longer each time that you do it.
Right. And the big thing that I say is when you like the flavor, take it out.
Yep.
You may think it's going to get better, and it may. Or it could go woody on you.
Yeah, and I'd rather have it a little bit under than a little bit over.
Right. Yeah. So you get it to the taste you like, you get it to the whatever you like, the mix you like. It's important to get it out of the barrel, right?
So what do you think for two liters? How long were you aging your stuff for?
So the first one I did, I probably had it in there a month.
Yeah, and I did 3 months for my 3 liter the first time. I think I did. Yeah, 3 months. Yeah. And then I went a little bit longer than that the second time, a little bit longer than that the third. After the 5th time, I gave up because it was just taking too long.
So you can get the barrel cleaners, the little tablets, drop in there, fizz them and do it.
Well, that's in between uses.
Right.
Yeah, you got to do. That's up to you whether you want to clean. I mean, you fill it with water immediately when you're done.
Right. Now, one thing I did that I really enjoyed was, if you remember, I did that one where I went and I bought the cheapest possible port you could buy.
Yeah.
Ooh, this stuff was cheap. But I filled the barrel with port and I did like 2 or 3 weeks in there is all. I just really wanted it to soak in. I emptied it. I threw away most of the port, and then I did a Manhattan in there, and that port coming off the barrel made just a great flavor. And I think that's important to remember as well as you're using these over and over. What did I put in it before? If I put something in it if I did tequila before and now I do an old fashioned, it's probably going to taste a little different.
Yeah, most people keep it dedicated to whatever
one
you're doing.
Spirit, right? Or whatever. Anyway, you can do that. But as soon as it's done, obviously we take them out and we have these bottles, several of them. Right, here's 2 more full. These were black Manhattans that came out of one of these, more than likely this one, or it could have been this one. That's irrelevant. But we take them out and we put them in here because we want to make sure that we're not getting too woody or anything like that. Then, like you said, I fill it up, rinse them out, and then I fill it back up.
Yep.
And leave it full.
And that way it's ready for the next time you use it. And they do sell the little tablets you can put in there that you can dissolve.
If you're not going to use them for a while, fill it out, rinse it out.
Filled, and then do that.
You can be good to go. If you empty it out and let it sit for a while, you're going to have to start over as far as getting it back to being able to be used again.
Yeah, because the wood's going to come loose. Like this here, for instance, the bandings will come off. Like that little one
are coming off on the little one.
Because the wood kind of dehydrates. So, you got to work on that.
So really, that's what we wanted to go over tonight. It's not a difficult task at all. It's really pretty easy to do. So probably the hardest thing, so to speak, is just getting your mix right, and that's really your taste. I mean, there's nothing.
I would get 3 barrels.
Yeah.
If I was to do it again.
Yeah.
Because the 1 barrel just really was monotonous over time.
Yeah.
It was kind of a bummer waiting for it to be ready.
Yeah.
So I could start cocktails on different time intervals, knowing that these would come off at a month or 2 months or 2.5 months type of thing.
Right.
And then I would be able to recycle and come back. And then eventually, as Darren has alluded to, you'll get to where you'll have a bottle of, let's say, Manhattans, and you'll have a bottle of Vucaries, or you'll have a bottle of Boulevardiers.
Yep.
And you can use those different barrels for different, those 3 different cocktails, and just rotate stuff through. So when your friends come over, they have stuff to drink. Yeah, or those. Some might say we have a barrel aging problem.
Some people might say we go a bit overboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Manhattans there, and
Vucaries.
Vucaries and Boulevardiers.
Boulevardiers, yeah. Fill the red there.
Yeah.
So really, that's what we wanted to cover tonight. Pretty simple. Again, the important thing is just trying it out and going out and saying, hey, I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way, and trying.
There's plenty of people that have done it. There's lots of help available if you're stuck.
Yeah, and the nice thing is when you pull it out, if it's a little weak, you top it off a little bit, right? If it's a little strong, I don't think it can be a little strong, but let's say it was. You could do things like that. You can knock down the proof a little bit or whatever. But realistically, it's not real hard to do the cocktails themselves. Do a quick Google search. You'll find plenty of places to buy barrels online. Generally, locally, all you're going to get is the 55-gallon, and if you have a wife that lets you do that,
55, yeah,
wow,
53s for whiskey, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's a lot of booze.
You better get a lot of friends to fill that.
Get a lot of friends, yeah. So anyway, that's where we are, and let us know if you have any questions, comments, whatever. Thanks for coming by the Drinking Shed tonight.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right,
see ya.
I'm Darren.
I'm Rob.
Have a good evening.